You're right, guys. Welcome to Football and Fitness United. My name's James, and happy Wednesday evening. That means it is match day tomorrow night as Man United take on Sheriff in the Europa League. So I thought it's about time to do a preview, right? It's been a while since we've had a Europa League game, so it'll be good to look forward to it. Interesting one. I think we sit on 9 points with 3 wins and a loss. Real Sociedad sit on 12 points, obviously top of the group, with an easier game in theory tomorrow against Ammonia. So you would expect them to move on to 15 points. You would expect United to beat Sheriff and move on to 12 points, which means that the clash in Sociedad is going to be a winner-take-all clash, basically, with the winner winning the group and getting straight qualification, and the loser of that game probably facing out against one of the teams that drops down from the Champions League. So it's going to be a really interesting game against Sociedad. But first of all, we need to take care of business against Sheriff. Just going to put this up down here, guys. Please like the video, comment, share, and subscribe. There's quite a few likes on the video already, which I love. Big up for all the support. Subscribers, we're over 700 now, and we are flying on the way to 1,000. And apparently when I get to 1,000, I've got to do some kind of daft like chili chip challenge or something like that. And so people clearly want to see me in pain on camera. And another quick thing, if you're watching this on Twitter, if you can hop over to YouTube, it'd be appreciated. It's better for view counts. You can get involved in the live chat, all that kind of stuff. And it just looks better for the growth of my channel and the algorithm. And obviously, it helps more people see my content if it looks better. So if you could do that, then great. But yeah, let's get into the match. So the first leg away in Sheriff was a relatively comfortable 2-0 win. I think it was goals from Sancho and a penalty from Ronaldo. And you would expect United to do the business back at home and pick up 3 more points. I don't think there's many people predicting anything other than a Manchester United win. I think we're unbeaten in the last 6. I think if you look at the few games recently, I think against Tottenham and against Chelsea, we've been especially good. I think until Graham Potter changed the tactics after 35 minutes, we played really, really good against Chelsea. And then we were pretty good in the second half. Again, the Spurs performance was arguably the best that we've seen in years. So we've got no reason to not really be confident going into this game. So I am very much looking forward to being at Old Trafford tomorrow. So if you're down there and you want to say hi, just drop me a DM and obviously we'll try and meet up, and that's all good. So yeah, expecting nothing but a win, I'm sure. Expecting nothing but a win for Sociedad. And what can we expect? Are we going to expect changes? What's the lineup going to look like? Because realistically, it's quite tough to predict. I think you've got to look at absentees first of all. I know that Wan-Bissaka is still out. I know that Martial is still out. That's obviously a big miss considering our striking positions. Ten Hag gave an update today in his press conference saying that Martial was out, which is a shame. But it is what it is. Like, history is repeating itself, and unfortunately he can't be relied on from a fitness point of view, and it's proving because he was supposed to be back for the Newcastle game. Since then, we've had Newcastle. Have we had Ammonia as well? Or no, we've had Newcastle, Spurs and Chelsea, and he's not played any of them. So we need to get him back ASAP, but I'm not sure I see that happening, really. So other things, are we going to make a few changes? Maybe. I think Ten Hag takes this competition seriously. He said it again and again that it's a competition that he wants to win. Yet our squad depth is not the best, to be honest. So we might find him not making as many changes as you think. At this point, to be honest, I'm going to bring up my predicted 11 because I think it's worthwhile doing this. I think De Gea is going to keep his spot in net. I don't think we're going to play Dubravka. I think De Gea is an automatic starter. There's no real options at right back, so Dalot has to keep his spot. I think Martinez has been a mainstay in the defence, so he stays there as well. I would bring in Lindelof, although Maguire is fit apparently, so it could be the return of Harry Maguire in a Manchester United shirt. And then left back, I would bring in Malacia. And that's not dropping Luke Shaw. That's just knowing that we've got a game against West Ham on Sunday. So for me, I would bring in Malacia so that Shaw's got a bit of a rest because he has played quite a few games recently. So my back four would be Dalot, Lindelof, Martinez and Malacia, but we'll see what Ten Hag goes with. For the same reason with Shaw, I would actually bring in McTominay for Casemiro. I know people are going to say, oh, you're crazy. He made a mistake against Chelsea, etc. Much weaker opposition. I fancy it to be a much easier game. Casemiro is arguably playing the best football in the Man United team at the moment, so he deserves to keep his shirt and start, and he will do on Sunday. There's no point risking him in a game where he could pick up an injury when he's so crucial and vital to our team at the moment and how we're playing. So I would bring McTominay in as the 6 with Eriksen, and I would play Bruno. Eriksen joined Ten Hag in the press conference, and usually the player that joins the manager in the press conference does usually start. So I would expect a starting place for Christian Eriksen, and I would expect Bruno Fernandes as captain to lead the team out and keep his place, which then leads us on to the front 3. And obviously this is where all the drama is, right? Because will Cristiano Ronaldo play? There's been a big reconciliation. Is there a way back? He's trained with the first team squad, so maybe he plays, right? I actually don't see him starting this game. Not because I don't think, they've not made up and there's really bad blood and they hate each other and all this. I just think, Rashford needs more minutes. He's, Ten Hag clearly prefers Rashford as a number 9 to Ronaldo. Rashford needs a goal, if I'm honest. He's a confidence player, right? So for me, if I was Ten Hag, I would play Rashford, try and get him a couple of goals, try and get his shooting boots on. And then if he can, then he goes into West Ham at the weekend full of confidence. So I would actually go for a front 3 of Sancho, Antony, and Rashford. I think Sancho needs to pick up some form quickly. You could also argue Elanga coming in, but I liked what Elanga showed at the weekend. And for me personally, controversial as it may be, unless Sancho plays tomorrow and shows something different to what he has recently, I would play Elanga against West Ham on Sunday. I think when he came on, he offered something different last time. He was direct. He had loads of pace. He beat a couple of men, brought the foul, got pulled down, was it by Jorginho, I think? So, yeah, I would play him on Sunday unless Jadon Sancho puts in a worldie tomorrow if he plays. So tomorrow I would play Sancho, Antony and Rashford, but Sunday I would probably lean towards Elanga, Antony and Rashford. And who thought we'd be saying that? Jadon Sancho and Ronaldo potentially on the bench for a Manchester United Premier League game. But, Erik Ten Hag picks players on form. And if he stays true to that, then I don't really see Ronaldo getting in. And I definitely don't see Jadon Sancho getting in on Sunday, but I do see them playing tomorrow. So that's my predicted 11. I'm going to go on now. We're going to talk about the press conference just in case you guys didn't see it today. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through each question and I'm going to read question answers and just go through them and discuss each one. So that's what I'm going to do with the press conference. So it's usually the day before a game. There's certain questions that sometimes are embargoed and come out later, but obviously journalists and certain fan channels and stuff are invited in and they get the opportunity to ask Erik Ten Hag, and it was Christian Eriksen on this occasion. They get the chance to ask them questions. So the first question was put to Ten Hag. He said, could you just update us on whether Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be involved and update us on Rafael Varane's injury? And he said, yes, Cristiano will be in the squad tomorrow and Rafa Varane isn't in the squad. He will be out certainly until the World Cup, but he has got a chance of playing in the World Cup, but he won't play beforehand for Manchester United. So that was Ten Hag's first answer to that question. And I'll just bring up this question, James. Would you want Erik Ten Hag to change formation till the World Cup? If you follow that up, mate, just with what? Do you want to bring Sancho into the middle? Do you want to play a back 5? Do you want to play 4-2-3-1? What kind of formation? Because at the moment, my argument is if you're going to play Cristiano Ronaldo and you want a figurehead up front instead of a Rashford and you want a penalty box striker, then maybe in theory you could play Sancho on the right, Antony on the left, use that width to get to the byline, play them on their natural sides and get some balls into the box for Ronaldo. That's a potential option. But the actual formation I see as working well. We're dominating the midfield against some really good teams. You've got to look at the Chelsea game, the Spurs game. They aren't mugs of teams, right? So for me, I would keep the same formation. And he's just clarified that to accommodate Sancho and Donny. You know what? I'm sick. Manchester United are not accommodation FC. We don't accommodate you. You go on that pitch, you perform. If you don't perform, I'm not changing to suit you. Donny van de Beek, whether you like it or not, has had more than enough chances with fitness and performances. And when I've seen him on the pitch, people may argue with this, but when I've seen him, he's not given enough. And you can say that he's not been allowed to play with the quality players enough. He's not been given a chance under Ten Hag's system, but there's multiple managers that haven't given him a chance now. And there has to be a reason for that. People were always saying, oh, but Ollie didn't know what he was doing. Well, it's now Ollie, Rangnick and Erik Ten Hag and Carrick. None of them have played Donny van der Beek for any length of time. And Sancho has been played under those managers, but he's just bang out of form at the moment. So I would play him tomorrow in his natural position, see if he can pick up any form. If he can pick up form, then he's got a chance of starting on Sunday. If not, I really would look at playing Elanga or bringing Ronaldo back up down the middle and moving Rashford out onto the left. That's just my personal thing. Obviously, everyone's individual, so not everyone's going to agree with that. It's opinions, it's football. You know, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. Sometimes it stinks, right? So the second question in the press conference was on Rafa Varane again, and it said, can he play in the World Cup? And Ten Hag basically said, I think so. Prognosis have to wait, see how it develops, see how the rehab goes. So that was a pretty bog-standard question, bog-standard answer. Then the Ronaldo topic came up, as it does in every press conference, in every media coverage, like just everywhere, right? Can you explain to us any conversations you've had with Ronaldo and how difficult this period has been? Ten Hag's answer. It's not difficult, but I think we set everything and we answered all questions. So he was out for one game and now he's back in the squad like usual. So then there was a follow-up question. The follow-up question was, you said you answered all the questions, but I'm going to ask again. Ten Hag, bit short, bit abrupt. I won't answer anymore. So all the questions, I think everything we covered last week, everything we explained, so we have to focus on the game tomorrow. We have an important game because we want to be number one in the group, so let's focus on that. Love that from Ten Hag. Shut down the journalists, shut down this Ronaldo agenda, this Ronaldo, like just media frenzy hype thing, and focus on the game. That's what I loved about him dropping Ronaldo for the Spurs game, because he was like, you know what? For the Chelsea game, sorry. You know what? We may need Ronaldo. We may need Ronaldo to come on, grab a goal, something like that. However, I want my team to be focused on that football match. And the best way of them doing that is to not have this distraction in the squad. So for now, until I've sorted things with Cristiano, I'm going to remove him from the squad, make him train in isolation or with the under-21s. Then once we've had the chat and the reconciliation, I can bring him back. I thought it was perfectly man-managed by Erik Ten Hag. Absolutely perfect. Good to see some more guys in the chat. Raz, big up, man. I'd rather have a team that works well than forcing players to accommodate. You know I agree on that, mate. I've just said it. And no pressure without a Ronaldo question keeps going. Facts, mate. I said it. I also mentioned it the other day, fan channels that were complaining about Ronaldo, everyone talking about Ronaldo, no one speaking about other things that are going on and how well we're playing. It's like, well, you control the narrative. If you want to talk about Ronaldo, you talk about him. If you don't, you don't. You're part of the media. You're part of, fan media is a part of media, right? So for me, I'm talking about it now because it was in the press conference and I'm reading a direct quote. I don't want to talk about Ronaldo over the Chelsea or Spurs performance. So I won't. It's my choice. It's my channel. I'm going to do that, right? So that's just how I see things. Again, could be wrong. So keep it going in the comments, guys. All the interaction all helps the channel. Smash a like on the video, share it around, all that fun stuff. And might have a competition coming for Sunday. So just bear with me on that one because it could be a good competition and you guys will want to get involved. So last question on Ronaldo, I think. I was just going to ask about his return to training. How has that been? Ten Hag, fed up by this point. What I say, I don't have to do it anymore. He is returning and focused on the game, and that is important. Cristiano is involved in the game tomorrow. So he doesn't say whether he's starting, but he says he is involved in the game tomorrow. That means you're either in the starting 11, you're on the bench. What it means, Cristiano, if you're watching, you don't leave early. It doesn't get to 87 minutes and you walk off. You are involved in the game. You are in the match day squad. You stay to the end. You support the team. You join in with the rest of the players' duties and stuff. If you are asked to come on, you come on the pitch. That's what you're paid for. Right. That's the end of the Ronaldo saga. We will not talk about it anymore, as Ten Hag didn't talk about it anymore. He moves on to other injuries, right? Can we talk about other injuries? Have you got good news on the injury front? We saw Harry Maguire is back training. And I don't want anything in the comments about that not being good news. Maguire is a United player. If you want United to do well, you want Maguire to do well. That's how I see things. If you think he's not good enough, that's fine. But you should want him to come back and perform well, because at the moment we've got 3 centre-backs. So we could do with having Harry Maguire. The answer, yeah, they're all back in training. Donny, so Van der Beek, Harry Maguire, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are all in training in preparation for tomorrow's game. That's news to me, actually. I forgot about Wan-Bissaka. So if he's an option, that could potentially be an option at right back. I didn't think about that. So that's interesting. And the follow-up question was, so they're back in contention for tomorrow. And he says, we'll assess it after training. They had one this afternoon. They had a training session. So he said, we'll assess it after training with the medical staff and I will take the decision. And then last question on Maguire was, Eric, do you think Harry will have an important role to play for you before the World Cup with Varane injured? And he says he will always play an important role. So he was injured. I'm happy he's on the way back. So now he has to get into games. And we know with Ten Hag, he tends to take his time to bring in players back and stuff. He doesn't tend to rush them back. He wants them to get on their match fitness. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Maguire on the bench, get a few minutes if we're up comfortably, like 30 minutes or something. And then, be in contention to start on Sunday. Everyone's got it written down, nailed on, that Lindelof is ahead of Maguire in the pecking order. And I don't think that's the case. Like, I personally would have Lindelof ahead of Maguire at the moment, although I think they're both decent ball-playing centre-backs. And when coached by Ten Hag playing alongside Martinez, I think they can offer something to the Man United team. Obviously, when everyone's fit, they don't get near the starting 11. But at this moment, I think they both have assets that they can bring to the team. It'll be interesting which one he goes with, because Maguire was former captain and obviously was captain at the start of the season. Lindelof has come in and done a good job, so we'll see which way he goes. Raz, definitely not going to happen. Media knows Ronaldo clicks. Ronaldo and United are the 2 biggest clicks in football, mate. Always have been, always will be. And the media know that, so they're going to ask. And they also know Harry Maguire gets a lot of clicks because he's controversial, so they ask a lot of Harry Maguire questions. It's not rocket science. And Red Dead United TV, James, do you think the club want Mason 11 to bust case so we don't spend money on Gakpo or Lau? Right, I don't really want to talk about Mason Greenwood. It's an ongoing case, so I'm not going to get involved in it. What I will say is that for me, this is individual. This is not a judgment or anything, but from what I saw and I heard, I personally, do not want that player to play for the club again. I don't think they should. If you have a different opinion to me, that's absolutely fine. I understand there's a court case going on. It's not proven guilty, etc., etc. Do the club want that to happen? I think the club have got a very difficult situation either way, because even if found not guilty, people are guilty by association in terms of like their reputation has already been tarnished by the fact that when you go to court, it's not anonymous, right? So the fact that his name has even been brought up in this case, it's not anonymous anymore. So they have a really tough decision to make. And they have grounds if they wanted to terminate his contract straight away, because just by his name being brought into the case, he has brought the club into disrepute. So that is then for grounds for a termination of contract. Whether the club do that or not is a different story, because obviously they see him as a huge asset. They see him as someone that can help the club. I personally don't see him and don't want to see him playing football for Manchester United again. That's my opinion. Don't have to agree. Don't have to like it. Don't have to dislike it. Whatever. It's an opinion. Like I said, like our souls. Everyone's got one. Sometimes they sting. This may do, may not. Don't know. Next one from Raz. You know what? I think Maguire should leave in January, but this would be a very good game to start for his fighting place. Here's the thing, Raz, though, right? And I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, because I don't think he's really good enough. Well, I know he's not good enough to start for Manchester United. I do think he's good enough to be a squad player, but is he going to be happy being a squad player when he's been captain? Probably not. But I do think he's a decent squad option at centre-back. What are our options at centre-back if you sell him? Rafael Varane, injury-prone, injured at the moment, potentially a long-term injury, depending on what happens at the World Cup. And historically gets injured a lot. Martinez looks fit, touch wood, and looks like he, can stay fit. But then who have you got? Twanzebe, injury-prone. Lindelof, Phil Jones, injury-prone. Lindelof, not the most. He's pretty injury-prone as well. So for me, you can't just start letting players go without their replacements. I mean, we're complaining about squad depth at the moment. We sold, I think, between selling, loaning, and getting rid on a free, we let go of 17 players this window. We signed 6, including Dubravka, who's not playing, so 5 really. So we let 17 players go and sign 6. So we had a squad that was fairly full, but it was lacking in quality, but it was high in quantity. we've had a net loss of 11 players. So lost 17, brought in 6. So therefore, we are 11 players lighter than we were last year. So are we surprised that our squad is paper thin? No. And we cannot be starting to let people go if we are not getting other people in to replace. And that's just the way it is, I'm afraid, for me. Raz saying 100, I think that was on the Mason thing, to be honest. So we will go on to the next quote. So basically, he was talking about Maguire, saying he was playing in a thingy role, an important role in the team. And then he was asked, some people will be looking to get to the World Cup and seeing if he will get enough minutes to get involved. Do you see him getting that game time? To which Ten Hag said, I understand the interest, but especially we look at Manchester United. We have to get the right results and performances. So that's the main object I look at. Again, I love that, right? So yes, there's a World Cup. Yes, it's important to the players, and we get that. However, England do not pay your wage. Manchester United pay your wage as a professional. So your duty of care is to Manchester United, not England. So if Maguire getting minutes helps his England cause, but doesn't help the prospects of Manchester United winning football matches, then Maguire should not get minutes from Manchester United. If Maguire getting minutes from Manchester United does and is a positive to us getting results in football matches, and can also be a positive for him getting in the England squad and having performances and getting minutes, great. But it has to suit Manchester United. It's best if it suits both parties, but it has to suit United. United come first. They're his club. They're who pays the bills. Yes, England is fantastic, and it's something they should look forward to. And it's a real privilege to go and play there in the World Cup in Qatar for England. But no, they do not come first. Manchester United come first. Red Dead United TV. Would you want us to go back in for De Jong, or has that ship sailed? Frankie De Jong is a quality player, right? Absolutely quality player. He's not getting enough minutes at Barcelona, and he probably has realised that he maybe should have moved, whether it be to United, Chelsea, or somewhere else. My problem with De Jong is I've got to look at an attitude of a player. And last season, we had this whole attitude of, oh, the players' attitude stinks. We've got no fighters. We've got no characters. There's no leaders in the dressing room. People aren't fighting for the badge, all that kind of stuff. Weak mentality stuff. So we bring in players like Malacia, Casemiro, Martinez, Anthony, people that went on strike to be here, not people that had to be dragged here by 350k a week. People that actually went on strike at their current club because they wanted to play for Manchester United so much. People like Lisandro Martinez, who go crowd surfing in the crowd and with a picture of them with a fan, tweet it and say, I don't know who you are, mate. I don't know you, but we're in this together. He gets it. He gets what it means to play for Manchester United. A player like Casemiro, who scores an injury time equaliser and screams, yes, 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 about 5 times, screaming passion, pulling the shirt, all that. Fred, who has an awful performance at Newcastle, awful. He's booed by like 70,000 people at Old Trafford. He then has the character and the mentality to come back the following week, just 3-4 days later against Spurs, and put in a potentially man of the match performance. Absolutely superb. Confidence on the ball, playing through balls, energy everywhere, pressing superb. Absolutely amazing. That's the kind of confidence, that's the kind of mentality I want from my Man United players. Does a player that led us along all summer and doesn't want to come here and would rather be somewhere else, does he have that mentality to come and play and fit in with the rest of the squad? Because if not, I don't want him here. If he does and he buys into that and he really wants to be here, then yeah, it's not sale for me. He's a quality player. He improves our team. But for me, you've got to buy into the rest of the ethos, because I see for the first time in a long time, there's a real connection from the fan base to this Manchester United team. The players get what it means to play for the club. The fans are falling back in love with some of the players. Again, you can see it with the comments on Martinez, the comments on Casemiro, the comments on Anthony. People love the players again. I am not having someone come in for £100 million who doesn't want to be here and ruin that. I really don't. Raz saying Anthony didn't show up for a few training sessions at Ajax to force a move. That's how much he wanted. Yeah, mate. Like I said, people are like, oh, we should have got De Jong instead of Anthony. I mean, 2 different players, but you're literally comparing someone that doesn't want to be here with someone that wants to be here. Even if the someone that doesn't want to be here is of higher quality, I would still back the person that wants to be here as long as he's got enough quality. It's like the talent hard work thing, right? It's like, yes, it's okay to have one, but both in combination wins every time. Every time. Red Dead United TV, the reason I like you as a creator is because you don't care about winning debates and bragging and hating your own players and people like rants. I don't, mate. I really don't. So for me, and this is where I'm different to other creators, or I like to think that I'm different to other content creators, I have no ego like that. I also don't stick to players. I don't have I don't attach myself to players and put all my eggs in a basket, because what's the point? There's no point. You're a Manchester United fan, right? Manchester United, sorry, badges on that side. Man United fan. I'm not an Anthony Martial fan, a Marcus Rashford fan, a Harry Maguire fan, a Scott McTominay fan. I'm a Manchester United fan. That means that whoever plays this, whoever wears this shirt, whether it's Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, Cristiano Ronaldo, they pull on that shirt for 90 minutes. I support them until they go off. I will give everything I've got with my support, whether I'm screaming down in the Stretford end, in TRA, South Stand, wherever I am, I'll give my all for that team, because it's all about Manchester United, right? People that are like Pogba FC, Martial FC, Rashford FC, McTominay FC, doesn't matter. There's been amazing, amazing players at this football club. My first match was in 1996 against Leeds. I've seen hundreds of matches live since then, hundreds. I've seen fantastic players. I've seen the original Ronaldo live. I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo live. I've seen Messi live. I've seen Xavi, Iniesta, Pirlo, Gattuso, Seedorf. I've seen Roberto Carlos, Drogba. I've seen all these players, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp. All these players I've seen live. None of them are bigger than the shirt they wear. Paolo Maldini, probably the greatest defender I've ever seen, not bigger than AC Milan. Original Ronaldo, one of the best strikers I've ever seen, not bigger than Inter Milan, Barca or Real Madrid. Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, Jaap Stam, not bigger than Manchester United. Never will be bigger than Manchester United. So I'm never going to tie myself to a player like that. It's absolutely pointless. And it is summed up, Raz was agreeing with that comment, and it's summed up by this: facts. Players come and go, the love for the club stays forever. And that's it, mate. You can have your favourite player, but the moment that you start supporting them over the club, it's dead. It's dead, mate. It's a team game. You want to support a player? Go and watch tennis. Go and watch an individual sport. You're watching a team sport. You choose a team to support. You don't choose an individual. You really don't choose an individual. If you want to choose a sport like Formula One, where there's individual and team, absolutely fine. But you're not playing an individual sport. You're playing a team sport. So therefore, you support a team. End of. Rant over. But yeah, like I'm always going to choose the club over any individual. Right. So here's probably the most important thing from the press conference, right? For people. They love transfers, don't they? So if you really needed to, Eric, do you have the funds to make a significant signing in January? We all want to know that, right? We all want to know that. Here we go. In this moment, I said also last week we focus on the games. In the background, of course, there's always continually a process. We love that word, LVG, all over again. We look at the squad and we want to live top sport culture, and you have to always examine how you can improve. And this is what we will do. So didn't rule it out. Didn't say we'll sign anyone, but didn't rule it out. And I love that. Absolutely love that. And then he also said, Eric, I know Facundo Pellistri isn't spoken about a lot, but it looks likely to be going to the World Cup. Do you see him as an option for the squad? To which Eric replied, he was injured for a long period after Atletico Madrid, bad injury. So now he's returning. We have some young players in the background in offensive positions. There's good competition there, and they have to battle for it to convince me to be in the team and that he's one of the options. So it doesn't look like he's in his immediate plans, but it does look like he's going to be a squad player. May get a couple of minutes like late on in games. Go back to the comments section. So here we go. So we've got in 5 years' time, Sancho will go, Martial will be long gone, and Shaw will leave, Maguire will leave. Everyone will be gone, mate. Who's the only players here from the Fergie title winning season? David De Gea, Phil Jones? Anyone else still here that I can remember? Don't think so. I think it's just De Gea and Phil Jones. So people go. And people want De Gea gone. And Phil Jones basically may as well be gone. So basically, from our last title winning team, no one's here. No one's here. No one remembers. The manager isn't. A lot of the staff aren't. So, yeah, players go, mate. Players go. Even Sir Alex said in 2013, the moment a player thought that he's bigger than the club, he had to go. David Beckham, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Jaap Stam. Several players, mate. It's happened throughout history. It's happened throughout history. I'm Team LH44. Funny. Jokes aside, I'm Team Man United. Love that, Tobes. James remind me of my harsh PE teacher. Whenever me and my mate used to piss around, he always used to say it straight. For me, so there's a lot of people that say it straight online and on fan channels, and that's absolutely fine, right? You can do that. For me, I'm just not taking the route of critiquing players in terms of their characters, personalities, or like anything like that. If you want to criticize a performance, that is totally on you, and that is something that I do. You are perfectly allowed to do that. That is criticism. They are in the public eye. They are performing in the public eye. You pay to watch them. You can critique their performance on a football pitch. Absolutely fine. No problem. The moment you start questioning their character, their personality, you start saying stuff to them about their family or on social media, you start swearing at them, any of that kind of stuff, that crosses the line into abuse. As soon as you cross that line, that should never, ever be tolerated, ever. And I don't want to focus on this because it's a different type of abuse, right? But in my opinion, Ivan Toney was 100% right to call out that fan who basically sent him that message, right? 100% right. And people are saying, no, he'll get death threats now, he'll do all this. Well, to be honest, you've tried to abuse someone in the public eye. You try to abuse someone, you deserve everything that's coming to you, honestly. If it was up to me, like I know people are against it, I would make every single person that signed up for a social media account, I would make them put their passport information in so that they could be held accountable for what they say. Because there's too many people, too many keyboard warriors that say whatever they want, but they won't say anything to your face. I get it all the time. People see me at Old Trafford, don't say a word to my face. Wonder why? Because I'm 5'11" and built like a fucking shithouse, that's why. Yet people they're hard as nails behind their computer screen, aren't they? Type whatever they want. It's an absolute nonsense. So yes, you can be harsh, and I believe I am harsh, but I'm never going to go in on a player like that. They don't deserve abuse. They deserve criticism. They deserve compliments and praise, but they don't deserve abuse. No one ever deserves abuse. So if I see someone doing that, I will call it out. And also the club will believe that no one deserves abuse. So if you are on any channel and you're giving players abuse, not criticism, abuse, I would be careful, because if the club get hold of that, they're then going to see that and be like, oh, right, we're going to work with you, but you've got people abusing our players. I don't see how that works. So for me, I would stay away from any abuse, any targeted abuse towards any single player. You can critique players, critique the team, praise players, praise the team. But abuse, end it. Kick it out completely. Noah in the chat, big up, man, big supporter. Always see you on Insta. Do you think Erik ten Hag will give a chance to Zidane, Palestri and Garnacho tomorrow? He needs to qualify, mate. So I don't know if you know how the Europa League works, but basically top two go through, but first is the only one that goes actually through. Second has to play like a qualifying round against the team that drops down from the Champions League. So we can't afford to finish second. And for us not to afford, for us to finish first, we have to win this game and then beat Sociedad on the final day. So I see him going pretty strong tomorrow and full strength against Sociedad. So Zidane, Palestri and Garnacho may get minutes later on, but I don't see any of them starting. If you look at Zidane Iqbal, so in centre mid, you've got McTominay to come in before him. You've got arguably Van der Beek to come in before him. Palestri, you've got Sancho, Rashford or Elanga to come in before him, and same with Garnacho. So I don't see any of them starting. They may get chances later on. Raz saying, I'd love to see Garnacho over Palestri tomorrow. Ten Hag fancies him. He looks pretty good. He looks elite at youth level, mate. But so does Charlie McNeil. But here's an interesting one. So I'm a big Charlie McNeil fan. So I've got a mate who's a coach of pro footballers, and he happens to coach Charlie McNeil. So I spoke to him and I was like, oh, you've got Charlie, haven't you? Like, great player. And I said, he's been tearing up, beating all records at youth level, absolute bagsman. And he said to me, honestly, he said, James, he's fantastic. He's fantastic, but he's not there yet. He says there's levels to this game. And in terms of like the youth game and the men's game, just says he's not ready for the men's game. That's what he said to me. Now, listen, he could be wrong, but he knows him pretty well. He coaches him. So I don't think he's ready. And it might be the same with Garnacho and stuff. Look, electric and elite at youth level, but are they going to be there when it comes to playing in front of the Stretford end, in front of 70,000? Are they going to take the chance? James Wilson was elite at youth level. And when he came into the first team, he said the pressure got to him. Old Trafford is a pressure cooker, man. Manchester United is the biggest pressure cooker in football. Eyes are on you 24/7, 365. And you need to be able to cope with that. And like someone said once, I think it was me, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the fucking kitchen, mate, because you don't belong here. It's the biggest club in the world. All eyes on you at all times. You need to be able to withstand that pressure. We've got Toby in the chat as well. I have this feeling with Erik ten Hag. He's a few players away from winning the title. Might not be this year, but very soon. You know what, mate? People are going to probably shoot you down for this. I don't think we're that far away. The only reason I think we're far away is because Manchester City are so good. I don't think we're far away from being the second best team in the league at all. Actually, I would argue we are. Since the first two games, since Ten Hag has got his preferred 11 nailed down, I think we are the second best team in the league at the moment. I would go as far as to say that. But like 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. That's the problem that I see. I think like we arguably are top of the rest, but we are far away from City. And City are improving as well. They've just signed Haaland. He's going to gel in. They get better and better and better. If Pep stays, if Haaland stays, we're in big trouble. We need to improve, but we need to improve quicker than the rate that they're improving. And that's going to be really tough to catch them. So I'm not going to judge Ten Hag on whether he wins a title or not, because he is up against one of the best teams ever in Premier League history. Make no mistake about that. They are a superb footballing team. I hate to say it, but you can't argue against it. They are superb. I will settle for Erik ten Hag improving this team, delivering a style of play, getting the fans connected with the club again, just like us loving football again. I'm loving going back to Old Trafford again. I'm there twice a week at the moment, and it's absolutely awesome. I'm loving it. And I have Erik ten Hag and the style of football to thank for that. So I'm massively thankful. A few players away. I think we're a few players away from giving them a run for their money, for sure. But then you've got to get lucky with injuries and stuff as well. We need depth in certain areas, but not as crazy as you first sounded, Toby. No hope for social media, says Raz. You get your content down for a couple of seconds of a song in the background, but they can't do anything about abuse and racial abuse towards players. Facts, mate. I told you I got banned for a week. I got banned for a week because I was actually defending Anthony Martial, but I happened to mention Martial FC and then put the see no evil emoji, right? Just afterwards at the end. And because Martial FC, and that is a monkey, I got banned for a week for inciting racial hatred. I was like, yeah, there's people actually being racist towards people, like that guy who sent that message to Ivan Toney. Did he get banned? Because I heard it got thrown at, like, they dropped charges because they didn't want to persist with like pressing charges, which is ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous decision. So when someone is actually racist, they don't press charges. But when someone doesn't do anything or accidentally does something, they get banned for a week. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Abuse is not the way to go because there are online people who contact the police and find out where you live via engine room. Yeah, agree. Would you go with Elanga or Garnacho tomorrow? Would you give Sancho approved? So I put this in my starting 11. You probably missed it earlier on, Raz. I would go with Sancho just because unless Sancho tears it up tomorrow, I would go with Elanga against West Ham on Sunday. I think it's a bigger game, and I think Elanga showed more when he came on against Chelsea. He took on more players than Sancho has done in probably the last 4 games combined. So I would give Elanga a chance on Sunday, unless Sancho plays tomorrow and tears it up. If he plays tomorrow, tears it up, then yeah, you probably go with Sancho on Sunday. And Red Dead United TV, Ronaldo under Ranić was that like that year 11 student that takes advantages of the supply teachers. Yeah, but you know, Ranić wasn't an experienced manager, was he? Ranić was a sporting director or technical director or whatever you want to call him, that obviously got brought in under false pretenses to go upstairs, never went upstairs, was left to manage, was given a caretaker role. And because he was given a caretaker role, he had no authority over the squad. People took advantage of that. They leaked all sorts. The player power was running rife, and it caused big problems at the football club. Big, big problems. Anyway, comment section's been very, very lively, but we get back to the press conference. So another question on Harry Maguire, actually. Hi, Eric. Just on Harry, there was a lot of focus on his performances before he gets injured. Do you think the injury has allowed him to get away from it all, and will he come back in a better mindset when he does come back? Ten Hag says it's always about performance and about presentation. I think when he is recording his qualities, when he is acting like that, he's a great player. He has great capabilities to do the job for us. And I think this is what people get wrong with Maguire, right? Maguire has technical abilities that are very good. They are very good. And I'll tell you why I know that. Because my mate who coaches Charlie McNeil also is the technical coach for Harry Maguire. And you may laugh at that and think, oh, he's not very good. Clearly not very good at his job. But look at his passing ability. Superb. His left foot's superb. He plays that switch out to the left back to Luke Shaw and to Dallo better than probably arguably anyone in our team. There are elements of Maguire's game that work very well. He wasn't like, it wasn't like when we signed him out of left field, right? He was a very good centre-back in that Leicester team. He was England captain, playing very, very well. He works perfectly in a back five when he's got a bit of protection. He's great on the ball. We signed him. And I, for one, was very excited when we signed him. I thought it was a great signing. It obviously turned out to not be a great signing. He obviously isn't worth the £80 million. He obviously isn't good enough to be Manchester United captain. And he's not good enough to be a consistent starter for a team that has visions of winning the Premier League. But don't get it fooled. Don't get it wrong and think that he's got no quality at all, because that's not true. You don't get to be a Premier League footballer, and especially one that's signed for £80 million with no quality. You just don't. You really don't. Red Dead United TV saying 100% all for Alanga playing. And then Toby said, the more I see Eric Ten Hag ball, the more I'm thinking Sancho isn't his type of player. My issue with Sancho, right, is we all thought he'd be the perfect Eric Ten Hag player. Pass and move, pass and move. Unfortunately, pass and move involve passing and moving, and Sancho only passes. He doesn't move. So once he passes, he never moves to the return, ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. You see him like, he passes, and then the player plays a return ball, and more often than not, he just stands there in space and looks back. Whenever, because he's playing on the left, whenever he tries to go past a man, he goes past and then cuts back because he doesn't trust himself in his left foot. That's fine. Anthony does the same on the other side, but he has end product. Sancho doesn't. And he's turned up in big moments this season, big moments in big games. So I'm not completely writing him off because he has contributed, but his overall performance level has not been good enough so far. And therefore, if we're going to back the manager and believe in his philosophy of playing players on form, then there is a big argument for Alanga having a chance, because he looked good when he came on against Chelsea. I know it was only a couple of minutes, but it was a bit of a cameo. He looked good to me. Looked really good to me. So, yeah, back to the press conference. Eric, we saw Varane's reaction last week. So the World Cup is obviously on players' minds. Is there a message you send these players to focus on these games? And here it goes. Quite long-winded. Yes, but focus is so important, because if you don't have the right focus, the risk that you get injured is even more. They also want to go in the right shape to the World Cup, the right form. So it's important that they're in rhythm. Keep the rhythm so that every game you have to be good and well prepared, because that gives you a better chance that you are good for the World Cup. And then the third point is we're in the season and it's important block as well. We have to qualify in Europe. We want to be number one in the group. That gives us a one leg in one round, and that's important as well, because it means less games in February if you don't play the qualifier. That's going to be a period with a lot of games, but we also have to be confident for the league, and we get into the right position. Then we've got the cup, and as we're here, we want to win every game, every trophy. So to stay in the right move, the right focus, and do it for the spirit of the team. So there, he's basically talking on the mentality, and you can't let it drift too far forward. Like, people have this thing of, the thing I hate on Twitter more than anything is whenever people think United have an easy run of games, they put up the next fixture and they're like, go on, Reds, how many points from the next 6 games? And every time someone puts that up, we either draw or lose the first game. Every single time. Because they think, we've got West Ham, Fulham, Villa, and Notts Forest. We should get 12 points. Football doesn't work like that. And I'll tell you what's evident that football doesn't work like that. 5 wins. Leicester away. Everton away. Southampton away. Arsenal at home. Liverpool at home. 2 losses. Brighton at home. Brentford away. Who the heck would have predicted that? Absolutely no one. That's who. Because football isn't as simple as looking at matchups on a pitch and saying they win. It just isn't that simple. So it doesn't work like that. So you can't look too far ahead. You need to take one game at a time. And that's just what Eric Ten Hag's saying there. And Raz coming back and saying, even when he has the ball, just like Rashi at one point, he looks scared to take a player. One-on-one, he always stops and passes backwards. He does, mate. And people think West Ham is an easy game. Madness. The thing is, though, they think West Ham is an easy game because they think, they're 17th in the league. But what they don't see is the quality that West Ham have. And so, like, they're 17th in the league because they're not consistent, right? They still have the ability to shock United and beat United if they turn up on the day. If United are below par and West Ham are good, they win that game. They do. They win that game. So it's a bit of a false league position, but they do have the ability to much better than that. It's not like a Notts Forest too. Like, I know they beat Liverpool, blah, 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 but really they don't have enough. They don't have loads of quality where you expect them to beat a big team like that. Whereas West Ham definitely do have the quality to hurt you. well, I'm not going to list their players, but they've got players that can hurt you from midfield onwards. They've got cracking players. So it's not going to be as easy as people think. Next one. Eric, we've been good in possession. As the coach, how do you get us to the next stage of development in terms of being clinical in front of goal? Is it more mental or tactical? Great question, this, because it seems like Ten Hag has worked from the back forwards, right? He fixed our defence, we look great. He's now fixed our midfield, we look great. The front three needs fixing next, right? The problem is it's not that easy. Like, if you look at all the great teams defensively, they don't tend to score many goals. And the teams that seem to concede goals, like City this season, Liverpool under Klopp to start with, they then score a lot of goals to win games. If you look back under us under LVG, superb defensively, but didn't score many goals. It's really hard to strike that balance because you need to defend as a team and attack as a team. And Erik ten Hag is working towards that. But don't be surprised if we start scoring more goals, if we start conceding a few more as well. That's just how football works. You have to be a really special team to score loads and not concede many. To get both ends of the pitch really good is a very, very hard task. Anyway, Eric says, it's both, but clearly in our attacking game, we have to develop, and there's also some really small details that make a huge difference and we have to work on. And he gives an example. For instance, I showed in the team as well. In the first half in Chelsea, we bring just 2 less people in front, so we had to push more from the back. We also had to do more to get players in front, and we were too neutral, too defensive to get the players forward because we have to get numbers in the box in opponents to score goals. True. Lisandro Martinez celebrated with a fan and got a yellow card for it. Is that what you're looking for? The connection between the fans and the players and the passion? Listen to this answer. This is me. This is me all over this. We are united. And so it is on the pitch, and we want to have a good relationship. We want to get a vibe in and work together. And I think Leacher really expresses that always in his game. With his passion, what he's bringing into every challenge, every duel, he gives everything he has. I think the fans, they love it. Not every player is like that, but I think you need some players in your team who express that. And I think that gives you a really good connection with the fans. Excuse me. So, yes, not everyone's like that. However, we're starting to get more and more in our team, you know. David De Gea's like that. Martinez is like that. Varane's like that. Luke Shaw at the moment is like that. Casemiro's definitely like that. Scott is like that. Bruno's like that. So there are lots of fighters and people that care and get the passion and the connection with our fans in a football club. And that's very, very good. That's it for questions to Eric. There was obviously questions to Ericsson as well. They were talking, I think quite a few of the fan channels got to ask questions to Ericsson, which is great. They were talking about like his favourite position and stuff. And I know Ericsson said, listen, I just want to be on the ball. They were talking about his match fitness and his sharpness. And he said, do I look sharp to you? So it was great to see a confident Christian Eriksen. I think he's been an unbelievable signing considering he was a free transfer. And he's absolutely awesome. So very happy to see Christian Eriksen, and hopefully he plays tomorrow and puts in a good performance. Raz saying, great question. This is what happens when you get someone that actually cares about the club to ask questions. Correct. That's my manager. That's in reference to the Ten Hag quote before. And I haven't loved a manager as much as Erik ten Hag. Probably, I'm guessing, since Ferguson, Red Dead United TV. It's amazing. Like, obviously, the Ollie love in after the first 13 games was amazing. Like, for me, like the best night of my life was Barcelona in 99. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I have a lot to thank him for that, right? So to see him come back and win his first 13 games and then that miracle night in Paris was just like incredible. And it was like literally like it was a fairy tale, right? It was a fairy tale that didn't have a happy ending, that's all. But everything, like the whole romantic connection, it was so romantic. Like Solskjaer comes back 20 years after he scored that goal in 99 to come and win the club the Champions League, to come and win the club the league, to come and rescue United. And it just didn't work out that way. It just didn't. He didn't have the capabilities in the end to be a Manchester United manager. This man looks like he has the capability to be a Manchester United manager. Let's hope he has the backing. Let's hope he's given the time. And let's hope he has the backing from the fans as well, because that is very, very, very important. But yeah, guys, that's been the preview. Obviously, it's the game tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to film content because I'm in work all day and then I'm straight off to the game in the evening. Like I said, if you're at the game, then come say hi. Always a pleasure. Always nice to meet people and all that. Yeah, and like I said, so should probably be putting out some content before the weekend as well. There's a chance, I'm not promising, but there's a chance that I've got an extra ticket next to me on Sunday for the West Ham game. If I do, then I will find some way of giving it away to a subscriber so you can come and watch the game with me and we'll film some content and stuff. So hopefully that should happen before Sunday. I will let you know if that happens. You can come join me, sit next to me in the Stretford end, hear me lose my voice, shout some abuse at a load of fans that don't know what they're talking about. That's a standard match day with me. But apart from that, yeah, game on tomorrow, United versus Sheriff. Last comment of the night goes to Raz. 3 years old that night, watched with my dad. What a feeling. What a night. I was a bit older, mate. I was 11. But yeah. Oh, they scored a goal in injury time. What a feeling. What a night. Great thing to end on. But yeah, this has been Football and Fitness United. I've been James. Raz saying, have a great rest of week, Reds. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Couldn't agree more, mate. And like I said, I've been James, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.